I'm a common person. I met her, I think, 7, 8 months ago. I don't think I've ever found more warm-hearted leader than her. She was literally like a mentor. She was so like she just talked about problems like these, and she was just so open. And I think that's what I want to say about Namita to everyone, because a lot of times we feel that people we see on the TV, people we see in such shows, we feel that maybe they have become these leaders and they have this aura to them. But whenever, even when you get to meet Namita in person, she's the most down to earth woman I've ever come across. So, Namita, that's the introduction I want to give about you. Thank you so much for joining us and giving this 45 minutes. We had some 1,000+ questions that have bombarded onto us. What I'm going to do is the team has made it a bit concise. I'm going to let you take over the floor, tell us about your stories and all of those things, and then we'll get into the questions itself.
Super. So firstly, Kanika, you completely embarrassed me, but thank you so much for your kind words. And I think this is one of the best introductions I've got, because a lot of people rattle off my degrees or my resume, which is very la-di-da and boring. But, you telling me that you found me warm and down to earth is the best compliment. And even when Shark Tank came on, my friends wrote to me saying, you know what you're on television is the same as when we're having a cup of tea with you. And so for me, the biggest thing I want to bring to any talk, to any television store, to anything I write is authenticity. Because, social media has made our world so fake, and everybody postures and everybody likes to show they're so perfect, and they have the perfect vacation and the perfect surprise planned by the husband, which, by the way, is never a surprise. It's all planned, and then perfect kids and perfect everything. And, it's really sad to see that, because when you show that level of perfection, it makes everyone around you feel inadequate. It's just human psychology. And so I think a lot more women need to use the power of their voices to talk about real stuff, to talk about uncomfortable stuff, to talk about difficult stuff, to talk about authentic stuff. And so, if with my newfound celebrity status, for lack of a better word, I can use the power of my voice to speak about, real things, that is a privilege. So today, since, the work you do is more around mental health, I wanted to spend 5 minutes talking about my story around mental health. And then, like I told you, the real fun is in the Q&A. That's where the candor comes out. So we'll leave the bulk of the conversation for Q&A, because I don't want to come across like this preachy know-it-all. I'm going to give you this gyan, because most stuff you're going to find on the internet anyway. I'll just tell you a couple of stories of mine. More people need to normalize this. And so even on the show, I spoke about my own struggle with mental health. And I told about how there was a lot of pressure in my family, because every summer there would be 9 grandkids together. We would all get our report cards. Everybody would stand first, and I would always stand second. And nobody congratulated me for coming second. The discussion was almost like somebody's died in the family. Everybody would look at me as somebody to be pitied. And the discussion would be like, oh, what is the gap between you and the first ranker? Let's analyze that gap by subject, and what additional help you need to come number one. So that was the genesis or the beginning of my low self-esteem. Then, of course, I was extremely overweight as a teen, and I had a lot of facial hair. There was a boy who used to call me in my class Mishi Wali Porgi, which in Marathi means a girl with a mustache. So, there was a lot of body shaming that happened. So it was a culmination of things of, the sort of stress about always coming first, the body shaming. Then I saw my father go through tremendous financial stress and being humiliated a lot as a first generation entrepreneur. And it just hurt me as a daughter to see him go through that level of humiliation, that level of things being told to him, both by family members, friends, and business partners. Okay, why don't you shut down? Why are you draining our money? You're not capable. You're this, you're that. So I think all of these things went on to really make me a very anxious teenager. And years that I should have been enjoying my life as a teen, those years I spent bulk of my years crying. I remember I used to cry for hours. And I would just be so anxious and have such low self-esteem all the time. And now when I look back, I'm like, who the hell cares about a 10th board or a 12th board anyway? By the way, I missed both by 2 marks. So that was like, again, as if somebody died in the family, because everyone was a merit ranker other than me. So my point is that, now who even asks you about your boards, right? I mean, you're judged by Like today, whenever I go for talks, I'm judged by the brands that I've built at MQ. So how big have I made my anemia brand? How much information I'm spreading on hypertension? Am I working towards stroke awareness? Am I talking about mental health? That's how I'm judged. No one's really going to ask me about my 10th and 12th. So something that seems larger than life there is so inconsequential and stupid. And at that time, if I had a counselor, at that time, if I had taken help, I think I would have been a happier teen with better memories. And I would have been I would have used those years a lot better. So I think everybody on this show who's an entrepreneur, it's a given that you'll go through a lot of mental anxiety, mental health issues, a lot of depression. There are times when you just feel like giving up. Every entrepreneur has that story. I've seen my father, firsthand go through a lot of that. I've seen that my mother go through a lot as a spouse. So that is a given. I haven't met a single entrepreneur who's told me that their life has been hunky-dory from day one and they have no stresses. Okay. Even when I went to Shark Tank, I did it for a cause because I don't have any brands that are going to sell because of Shark Tank. I did it because I wanted to help the entrepreneurial ecosystem. But the amount I got trolled and the amount of merciless comments that come on my Instagram, they used to affect me. They used to bother me. As thick-skinned as I am, and I'm in my mid-40s with my share of white hair, but it still got to me. So if everyone thinks that Namita comes across this all sorted, thick-skinned, everything figured out person, I'm definitely not that person. I as early as a month back, I went through a lot of, I just felt really bad about some of the stuff people said on Shark Tank about me, and it got to me. And then it took a lot of inner strength and a lot of self-talk to get myself out of it. So it's a journey. But the important thing about the journey is two things. One is you normalize it as a person and you don't try to hide it from the rest of the world. You talk about it. And especially people in positions of power have to talk about it to normalize it. And two, go get help. And not in that, like how the periods pads are like wrapped in 5 newspapers in a black bag. I mean, don't be that way about going and meeting a counselor. Celebrate meeting a counselor and celebrate the good that comes out of meeting a counselor. And sometimes, I'm from a pharma company. Sometimes medication may be required in certain cases. I'm not one of those who takes medication easily. I only take it when it's a last resort because I'm a big believer in alternate therapies as well. But sometimes it's needed. So go get that medication. Don't feel like, oh my God, what am I doing? As if the earth is shattered or whatever. Go get help. So first, normalize it. 2, go get help. So these are the 2 thoughts and a few personal stories I wanted to leave the audience with. But again, over to you and over to Q&A. And that was the whole genesis behind starting my YouTube channel. Because we launched 20 episodes. And all 20 episodes, Kanika, are around breaking taboos. And these are not celebrity women. These are normal women who are so brave and who have so much strength and who I have been so inspired by, because their stories are not the typical Ekta Kapoor crying, drama, hug each other, pass on handkerchiefs kind of story. Nothing wrong in crying. I'm not anti, but I'm just trying to say that we don't victimize on the show. We show strength and we show positivity. And we show how they've emerged victorious so that they can give hope to millions others who are watching them. And you were one of them on the show. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Perizad was with you. And Perizad spoke so beautifully that day. So my point is, all 20 episodes celebrate this strength and celebrate the fact that not just mental health, but whether it's PCOD, endometriosis, breast cancer, we want to make all these things very commonplace topics that we should talk about and get educated about.
I don't know how do you do it. It was so brave of you to share what you shared. In fact, I just had one question for you before I give it to all the participants. I don't want to take up their time, but you answered that already, Namita, because we all saw those memes where Namita was seen saying, "Ye meri expertise nahi hai and I'm out." Right? It started off as something where people were, I think, trolling, like you said, maybe one of those trolls, but there was a huge segment, Namita, who took that as a very authentic thing. It was something real. It was like you as a leader, you as a shark over there, it's not necessary that you need to know it all. Right? Absolutely. And I think that was the beauty of the authenticity that you showed. And exactly everything that you shared. So you already answered it. Now, what I want to do is, while I have the compiled questions with me from everyone, what but I'm not going to do that just yet. I want to open this to everyone who has joined us. Samit, I just want to tell you, we have participants. We had kept it like a very closed door because I knew that this was going to bombard like crazy. We have 100 people total here, and then we have a lot of other corporate clients of ours who have been given specific links. So in total, there are about 650 people right now who are listening to you. Okay. And so what we're going to do is, I'm going to open the floor to everyone right now. What we'll do is unmute yourself. If you're asking questions, please also get your video on. It will be a great way for Namita to know you personally and help you to answer whatever questions you have in mind. And let's not try to cross each other, guys, because I know there's going to be a lot of questions that will come in. So I'm opening to everyone here now. Please go ahead. If we feel that there are too many questions, just put it on the sidebar and we'll take it up and we'll call your name. But I'm opening it up. Whoever wants to start, please go ahead.
Hey, hi Namita, this is Manvi here. And I'm a very big fan of Shark Tank India, and I have seen every episode of it and I liked it, enjoyed it. So just wanted to know one question from you, like how did you overcome by this COVID 2 years lockdown thing? Like, did that impact you as a person, as a family, how you got overcome out of that situation?
That's a great question, Mandvi. So, at a personal level, I didn't get impacted because pharmaceuticals is essential services. So from day one, we were working. I have not worked from home even a day in my life. From day one, this is my office, we were in the office because if we expected people to come to the manufacturing site and make the medicines that would not be in shortage, we as leaders had to walk the talk. So at a personal level, I had no really, impact from COVID from a mental health perspective, because I was still busy, I was still working, but my kids really suffered. 2 years they didn't have school, they were isolated. I saw massive changes in their personality development over the 2 years as a mother. So I have a 16-year-old and an 11-year-old, and I definitely saw them becoming introverts because they were not meeting as many friends. Online education, you get very distracted by your phone and all. So I saw the quality of education suffering. I saw them going through a lot of anxiety. So it was very tough as a mother, but not so tough as an employee. And of course, I had a lot of friends who went through a very tough time because I saw women who had to double their workload. They had to work from home and they had to do the household chores. And there wasn't a buy coming, and they didn't have a lot of sort of amenities that they otherwise were used to. So I saw a lot of my friends go through an extremely tough time. And that's why that shows in the workforce participation of women, which has gone from 37 to 27 to 20%. So we are regressing as a nation for female workforce participation. So a lot will have to be done to get back to 37 and then to 50%. So it's been tough on women specifically. But at a personal level, like I said, nothing for me personally, but a lot for my children, and went through a tough time as a mother.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Moving on.
I'm keeping the answers concise so we can get to more.
Yeah, you get it. You got my vibe. Okay. Hi, Namita.
Hi, Namita. This is Garima.
Hi, Garima.
Namita, you told about your personal journey and how you required help at different stages of your life. So was there any contribution of your family in it? I mean, how do you convince your family that you need help and you really want to go through therapy?
So I had both sets of family members. I had family members who were very supportive and said, yes, you must go for it. And I had family members who were like, no, this is going to make you look so bad. And it's going to make you look like you have an issue and you have a disorder. And, it's not going to look good on the family. So do it in a very hushed manner. So I had both sets of family. As a result of that, I never got help because it was a big taboo. I mean, you have to realize I'm 45. So you're talking about 20 years back when mental health, A, there weren't as many counselors, and B, it was a very big taboo. So as a result of this, I never got any help because it was a big taboo. And so my family chose, and I chose not to get help, which has been the biggest regret of my life. And so even now, when my two boys go through anxious moments, I'm very comfortable getting them help. I have 2-3 good counselors who are my friends. I'm very comfortable taking my boys to them. In fact, they were uncomfortable going to counselors, being boys. Arey, what if our friends found out and this and that? And I talked them through it. And my husband talked them through it. And we actually went and met counselors with my boys. But for me, I didn't have that help because it was a very big taboo. You're talking about 25 years back, because this happened to me when I was, if I'm 45 now, geez, this happened to me when I was 15, 30 years back. 30, you have to realize 30 years back, things weren't the same as they are right now. If you think things are bad right now, 30 years back, it was a whole different world. So the family did not, because of family pressures, I did not get help.
Hi, Namita. Can I ask the next question?
Yes, please.
Yes, this is Rahul. So my question is, like, let's suppose you, instead of MCure pharmaceuticals, you were solving mental health. So what would be the first problem statement for you? Like,
you mean as a company selling
as
mental
an entrepreneur, like, how would you solve mental health? Any problem statement that you feel
So I
is
think
a
the
big problem?
first problem statement is creating awareness around taboos. If you had to ask me what my punchline would be, it would be creating awareness around the taboos and making sure that's taken care of. Because the minute you do that, then the medicines also sell, the counselors also sell, everything follows. And again, it's not just for the money. It's a win-win. People get the help, and then there's a market also generated for it. So first thing that's needed is more people like me coming on these public forums and talking about it. And I must tell you, Kanika, I get at least 20, and I'm not saying this out of arrogance, it's a factual statement, to put across my point, which is that in a week after Shark Tank, in a week, I get at least 20 requests on average for being a speaker or a writer or an interview in some newspaper. And I say no to everything, because if I do that, I won't have time to be a mother and to do real work, which is MCure and a couple of other things I do on the side. But the reason I took this on as an exception is because I feel that if people like me don't come and lend their voices to normalizing taboos, we will still be stuck to 30 years back when Namita was not allowed or felt ashamed to get help.
Hi, Namita.
Hi, Namita. Palak here. Oh, wow. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Palak.
Sorry, who's speaking right now?
I just wanted to ask one question to you.
Me.
So I've been following you since long. Even I cleared CA recently, 1 year back. So while doing CA, I had this issue that I faced a lot of guidance issue. I'm very enthusiastic about doing things, but I belong to a Marwadi setup where my parents are very supportive, but the society outside is like, ठीक है, क्या ही कर लोगी, 1 साल कर लो, फिर शादी कर लेना, तुम्हारा तो बस इतना ही है और तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते. But I want to grow as a person. So one issue that I face always is that I seek guidance, but I don't get the right guidance. Maybe the kind of people I'm talking to you is not correct, or there's some issue which I'm not able to rectify. So can you please help on that?
Good. So there are 2 issues I'd like to address here. First and foremost, as long as your parents are supportive, don't care about the rest of the family. Okay. As long as your husband is supportive, don't care about the rest of the people. You have to become thick-skinned in life. I think women are inherently born a little sensitive and care about others' opinions. That's a mental health issue too. You have to get over that. Okay. And that there's no treatment, no counselor. You have to work on yourself and become strong within. Just do what you want. Like, for example, I wanted to go abroad to study, and I was the first girl from my family to want to go to the US to study. And I come from a Gujarati family, very conservative, like yours, and all the well-meaning relatives were like, "Are shaadi ke pehle mat bhejo, ladki bigad jayegi." And my parents supported me. And as a result, I was the first girl from my family to go to the US before getting married. And again, I'm talking about, this is when I was 22. So I'm talking about 23 years back, when this wasn't as common as it is today. So as long as your parents are supporting you, don't care about the others. Don't let them come in the way of your development. In terms of seeking guidance, I've been very lucky that I've got 2-3 mentors who have helped me as a sounding board, as a coach. I really sort of urge people to go and get mentors. You don't have to have a very fancy mentor. You look at the area where you need help, figure out some expert in that area. I cold call. So out of my 3 mentors, 1 is somebody I know, 2 are cold calls. And that was before Shark Tank, before I became a celebrity, so-called. And they were kind enough. You'll be amazed at how many people will want to help you. So get a couple of mentors, make it very organized, schedule quarterly meetings with them, talk through these issues. That you don't need too many people. One such person is also enough for guidance. And most importantly, make your intuition your best teacher. So I've reached a point in my life where I don't need too many people to guide me. My intuition tells me what to do because I'm in touch with my inner voice. And then if you make mistakes, that's fine. Learn from the mistakes and keep improving.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hello,
I'll do
hi.
employee.
Hi, Namita, Palak here.
My name is
Hi. So actually, I just wanted to ask you from, the first answer that you gave, that during this COVID period, you had to, the women had to work double because of the situation that we were in. So I just wanted to ask you, what is your mantra for maintaining that work-life balance? Since you have a family and you have handling so many things, what is your basic mantra to follow?
So I basically told this in umpteen women's conferences. There is no balance. It's a myth. If somebody tells you there's balance in their lives, get them to me and I'll tell them they're full of crap. Okay. Because there is no balance for a working woman. Sometimes family takes precedence and you let go of a few work opportunities which you regret. And that's just life. Sometimes work takes precedence and you miss some important events in your kids' school or something, and then you just have to be okay with it. So there is no balance. But you take each day as a new day, listen to your intuition and do the best you can. And I keep telling people, women are great at time management, terrible at guilt management. Just get rid of the guilt. Once you've decided this is what I'm doing today, where work is getting precedence and there's going to be no balance and my kids are going to suffer, so be it, make peace with it and don't beat yourself up over it. There is no balance.
I believe that.
Hello, Namita.
Hi, Namita. My name is Vanshika. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello. I'm a second-year law student, and my question to you is for young people who want to get into entrepreneurship and especially belong to industries like the legal industry where there's not a lot of entrepreneurs coming right out of college. What would your advice be? Briefly, just what roadmap should one follow if they're interested in such a thing and still in college?
So anyone who's in college and interested in entrepreneurship, firstly, get a lot of customer insights, understand the problem situation really well. Either you can join classes, like, I run an academy on the side, and if you don't want to join classes, then there's enough on Google. Self-teach yourself, figure out the basics of finance, marketing, do a lot of customer surveys, market research, understand what the customer insights are, whether the problem really exists, make a business plan. So, I think there's no shortcut in life. You need to have depth. And so if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to A, have depth and really study the problem, the customer insights, get a business plan ready. And B, you need to be ready with a life full of failures and financial difficulties. So mentally train yourself for that. So as a student, that's what you can do so that you're in a stage where you're preparing yourself so that when you're graduated, you can give your full-time attention to your venture. You already have a lot of homework done.
Hello, Namita ma'am. This is Neha here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Neha.
Yeah. So this is surreal for me right now to be speaking with you. But I just wanted to know that have you ever considered getting help, or have you ever been to a counselor, and how have you handled that situation, and how was your experience for that?
No, and that's what I said earlier, that I went through a lot of anxiety as a kid and depression as a kid, and I wanted to get help. It was a taboo 30 years back. So I never got help, but that's why I'm very comfortable taking my 2 boys to counselors, because we need to normalize this and make it something that we don't feel ashamed talking about. So I didn't get help, and I think I lost a lot of productive years because of that and suffered because of that. I think I could have been in a much better place now than I am. I had a lot of lost years and lost memories, but what I've learned from it is make sure I don't do that with my children and my loved ones.
Also, my brother wanted me to tell you that he's a great fan of yours. He kept insisting and telling me that. So it was great speaking to you. Thank you for this great experience.
And please thank your brother on my behalf. That's nice to know.
Before we go on to the next question, Namita, I just wanted to take the opportunity for you to just quickly 2 minutes tell about your academy, because the question about entrepreneurship came, and I'm just seeing that on the side, there are a lot of people who are looking to become entrepreneurs, especially young ones. So if you can just tell us a bit about the academy part, because I know I love it. So just let's take 2 minutes to do that.
And in fact, Kanika, you come as a speaker.
Yeah,
A lot of our students had mental health ventures, and you mentored them in terms of the financial frame and how to be a purpose-driven venture, but at the same time make money.
Yep.
And I'm, thank you for guiding those.
Namita, I was shocked. There are 8th, 9th class students who are looking to run their mental health ventures. I was flabbergasted. That was the word.
Yeah, they're very bright. So, I won't take too long. I started running an academy that teaches entrepreneurship, and I've been running it for 6 years now. And that academy for 6 years was primarily focused on 11 to 18-year-olds. Yeah. After Shark Tank, I go to so many airports, public places, and people just bombard me saying, why aren't you having this for adults as well? So I've actually extended the academy to adults as well. It's called Thapar Entrepreneurs Academy. We have a website. You can just Google Thapar Entrepreneurs Academy, and anyone who's interested, we'd love to have you as a student. Thank you.
Thanks, Namita. Sakshi, could you just help me to please mute everyone else who's not talking? All right, I'll just call out names because a lot of questions coming in. Anviti, do you want to go next to ask your questions?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Namita.
Hi, Anviti.
Okay, first of all, I would like to say that you were the most empathetic and polite shark on the show, and for that, I really respect you, because it was interesting to see that even when you were rejecting an idea, you did it with constructive criticism, and that is just so good to see. My question to you is that in Indian families, comparison is very normalized. And as a teen, it kind of debilitated my self-esteem, and I had to work a lot. So luckily, my family, like my parents, did provide me access to counselors and all. But I have a teen cousin. She just started college, and I see her going through a tough time. Like whenever she talks to me, she texts me. Whenever she meets me, she cries. And because like the pressure of performance, as you said, is put on her, and on such an early age. So my question to you is, like, as family members, what can we do to make it more supportive for these guys, for the young guys?
No, and at the beginning of the talk, I'd spoken about how there were 9 grandkids. We all got report cards, and I would always come second and everyone would come first. And it's these comparisons that really killed my self-esteem as a young kid. And so firstly, if you see it happening, you must use the power of your voice. So when I say have courage and speak up, courage and speaking up is not just for big things. In your daily lives, when you see somebody putting down somebody, okay, or you see a family member comparing, which can really be to the detriment of the mental health of the person who's being subjected to that, speak up and say, stop. What you're doing right now is really bad. You need to stop. And many times, because, it's easier to stay quiet and it's easier to be the popular person, we don't speak up. One of the things that I'm very good at, and, you spoke about empathy, so I'm going to say it. I came up with a quote, which I really liked on Women's Day, which says, learn to balance the shark and the dolphin within you. So I can be very sharky, very ferocious, very aggressive, very ruthless. If you see me in some of my business meetings, I'm shredding presentations and shredding the numbers like you can't imagine. You're like, my God, what is she doing? Never humiliating. Please, I speak up, and I've reached a point in my life, I don't care about being Santa Claus or the most popular person. I care about doing the right thing. And very often doing the right thing means you're not popular, and you speak up against people who don't like you speaking up. But that's okay. At least you'll go to sleep every night with a clear conscience. So Anviti, first thing is, you at your level should speak up if you see this happening in your family. We need more voices. Secondly, please get her a counselor, because if she's crying, that means it's reached a point where it's pretty bad. And you need to give her a medical expert who's able to talk to her very objectively. So I cannot say enough times how important it is to get a counselor when a person is in distress. Don't just think that waiting will take care of it. It doesn't. You need to get her help in the form of a good counselor.
All right. Thank you so much.
Push her to do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Namita ma'am. This is Jia.
Hi, Jia.
Firstly, I saw an episode and I remembered very, very well that there were two ladies come up with a startup plan, and one of them was pregnant and came from Bangalore. And you asked her if she's comfortable, and I literally teared up because nobody did and you did. Okay, so
it was important because she looked heavily pregnant. I mean, she looked like I think she was 8 months pregnant, and she had driven from Bangalore to Bombay. Can you believe it? At 8 months pregnancy, that girl had driven from Bangalore to Bombay just to be at that pitch. And she started crying because she was told that you are here to waste our time.
Yeah, she told.
Yeah.
Okay. So my question to you is, like, Indian Medical Association has an amount paid for a fixed amount for consultation, but unfortunately, mental health does not have that. So what do you think is the future of mental health, and how do you think mental health as an entrepreneurship?
So I think you raise a valid point that government policy making is very behind, whether it is insurance coverage for counselor sessions. There's no insurance coverage for counselor sessions. A lot of company policies or medical plans don't cover it. Government policies with IMA and all are not there. So this is where people like me come in. You know, I hope that as I have more connects, a bigger voice, even if it's through a TV show, doesn't matter, I can influence some of the policy makers to make these changes, because I work very closely with doctors. So if I can be that bridge between doctors who know what is needed and policy makers as a government and help some of these policy changes, that will give me a lot of joy. So that is definitely one of my topmost agendas in terms of what I aspire to do in the next few years.
Okay, and how do you think mental health as an entrepreneurship?
I think there's huge potential. The person you should talk to is Kanika, because if you just see the target audience market, you know, TAM, like we say, the target audience market, it's massive. And there's a supply demand issue, right? Because you have a lot more people who need it, not enough counselors. And even in the counselors, how do you know who the quality ones are? Because if, God forbid, if you go to a bad counselor, it can do more damage than good. So I think there's a lot of scope for this. So it's definitely a great field to be in. The only problem is right now it's become cluttered. There are too many people doing this. So how do you figure out what your moat is, or what your USP is, or what your differentiator is, where you can really market that differentiator and help it scale? That's what you got to figure out.
Cool.
Thank you.
There are a lot of, I want some male speakers to come up now, Namita. There's a lot of them are waiting patiently. And then why don't you go ahead?
Can you see me? Hello.
Yes, Anand, I can see you.
Go ahead.
Hey, Namita. So I knew you before Shark Tank too. I had seen, I've read a magazine about you. I'm 15, I'm from Bangalore. So I run this side hustle organization, which I started last lockdown in 2020. So I have this constant urge of doing something more. And so I don't really get what I should do, because not all my friends are doing entrepreneurship or running side hustles. So like, I don't get, there isn't a proper network.
Sorry, just one second. Sorry, my father just walked in. And anything else I can tell, don't disturb. But my father threatens to take away my job, so I have to listen to it. No, but you know, Anand, to your point, it is absolutely wonderful that you're doing it. My compliments, congratulations to you. And don't worry about what people are doing and then what they're not doing in your case. You do what you want to do, man.
I didn't really complete my question. So how can a person like me try being like you, or like how do I get to a position like yours? Because I have such ambitions.
Please, you know, we guys are a little overrated. So find real role models. Okay, there are a lot of people around you. I always tell people we always want something big to get inspired by. I get inspired by people I meet on a daily basis. Everyone you meet, if you keep your eyes open, you learn something from them. Okay. Now, if you're talking in terms of net worth and achieving a certain turnover, then
I said net worth.
Yeah. So I think net worth, that is, you know, the size of the business, then in that case is a 101 of entrepreneurship. You really got to sit down and figure out a business plan, that what you're pursuing, is it really capable of scaling? Is it really going to make money, or are you just wasting your time? You're never wasting your time, because even if it fails, you learn and do better in your next venture. You got to get a couple of mentors from that domain to guide you and to help you think through the nuances. And you got to get a business plan ready. And it's a journey. And not everyone makes it big. My father made it big. Today he runs a 6,000 crore company that I've helped him scale. But not everyone's going to do that. But you know what? You do the best you can in life and never give up and keep dreaming big.
Thank you.
Get a couple of mentors and get that business plan nailed. People don't go into depth. I find people very superficial these days.
So where exactly do I find mentors for me? Like,
so you have to look around you.
Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Yeah.
Just the specific stuff, Anand, we're going to take some answers from you, Namita, written as well, and send it across.
Okay.
There are a lot of people direct messaging us who had other questions also. So I'm very sorry to do that, Anand.
No, but it's very simple answer. Mentors, just look around you who's a domain expert and just approach them. If you approach 10, one will say yes. It's as simple as that.
Speaking to you. Thank you.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah, Pranjal, go ahead.
Yes, so hello Namita. Hello. So I am a student, a 14-year-old. Actually, I want to I really ask this, like, if we want to be in the entrepreneurship field, it is really necessary to be from a certain field like science, arts and commerce, because I have a whole rivalry going on here. So I opted commerce, and I know that, we can be entrepreneur, and I mean by some other field as well. So what do you think? Like, can we go with our interest, or there is some compulsion of field?
You need to read a lot more stories. One thing I did as when I was your age, and I still do at my age, is I read a lot. Okay. If you read stories, you'll see there's so many entrepreneurs who came from a certain field and did something completely different, which was their passion and their interest. So don't let what field you're from limit you. What is needed for entrepreneurship is something that you're crazily passionate about, and something that is a big problem that you're out to solve, and that you have a very good business plan. Then it doesn't matter if that's what you're educated in or not. If you have the passion, you'll figure out the business plan and the solution. Don't let your field limit you. And read stories of entrepreneurs. You'll get so many case studies where they started doing something, and then what they became big in is completely different than what they got educated in, or even what their work experience was in.
Thank you.
Read. I tell a lot of kids on this channel, I just keep telling people, read a lot. There's so much inspiration in books.
Okay, Kanika, may I take the next question, please?
I don't know who spoke, but I have Priyam queued here. Priyam, just go ahead, and then whoever's talked, I'll queue you up.
Thanks.
Yeah. Hi, Namita. It's nice to meet you. My question was, as women, we often start our financial planning journey really late. So how do you suggest for women to actually start planning or rather saving for their future at an early stage in their careers?
And I'm really glad you brought this up, because I meet so many women who are, in their late 40s, are at such high designations in companies, and they have no idea what their savings are. They're like, my husband manages this, right? And I think you need to start early. The day you start earning income, you got to figure out your risk profile. You got to meet somebody from an investment company to figure out how much you want to put in cash, equity, mutual fund, like, direct stocks versus mutual funds. You got to study those companies that you want to invest in. You have to take charge. And based on your risk profile and your needs, you have to figure out how much you're going to keep aside every month, because every woman needs to be financially independent, not just in terms of being a working woman and having a job, but knowing that, if there's a divorce or death, what does she have saved for a rainy day, and how much of that is liquid versus not liquid? So that's a great question, and people don't do that enough. So we need to do that.
Thank you for answering my question.
Hi, Namita, this is Megha here. I'll go next. My questions will be a bit too on the stereotypes that are around women and mental health. One being on, women are considered to be more empathetic, right? And when you have someone who is more aggressive in the room and is a woman, right? People consider that to be a very negative trait. How because you mentioned earlier, right, that you also have those traits. How do you manage those preconceived notions in the people in the room. That's one. And second, on guilt, right? When as women, in anything that we do, we carry a certain guilt, and even with things that make us happy, we are not happy at the end of the day because of that taking precedence, right? Any suggestions that you have?
I've faced a lot of instances where people have told me I'm too aggressive, I'm too loud, I talk too much, I'm too direct. Just ignore. I think you have to learn to ignore, even with guilt. No one can give you a magic formula, Megha. No one can tell you do A, B, C, D. All I can tell you is if you decide that you're going to learn to ignore people who call you aggressive, and if you decide to, delete this guilt monster from your life, no one can stop you. And it's a journey. It doesn't happen in a day, but you have to keep at it, and never be apologetic for who you are. So I speak very loudly. I have a very loud voice. So I've been told so many times to talk softly, and I'm like, I don't want to talk softly. And, I call myself a Basanti because I talk a lot, and people are like, oh, it dilutes your image as a CEO, talk a little less. I'm like, if people are going to judge me by the pitch of my voice and how much I talk and not by my numbers, then there are people I don't care for anyway. So be yourself. I always tell people, be you, the world will adjust. Be proud about who you are and live your life on your terms. And no one's going to give you the magic formula. Work on yourself. And over a period of time, you will get to learn to be thick-skinned and learn to get rid of guilt. But you have to commit to it.
Sure. Thank you so much for taking that up.
Namita, there was an interesting, fun question. If you had to take away one quality from each Shark Tank, the shark that you had, what would be one quality? I mean, I can just name it out. Ashmi, what would you take from Ashmi?
Take as in learn or delete?
Learn.
I think he has great business acumen. So the way he, gets to the sort of core point of the business, I enjoyed listening and learning to that.
Aman?
A lot of things I did enjoy, but that's one thing I did enjoy since you asked a more positive question. Aman, he's a marketing guru. And of course, I learned a lot about marketing from him, and creating brands. But what I learned the most is how you can have a blast in life and dance and sing your way through becoming a unicorn.
Cool. Namita, so I know you don't have much time. I have one thing to ask. If there is one quality we need to take from Namita, what would that be?
Authenticity. The thing that irritates me the most about people is when they feel the need to be fake and posture to please others. And I was exactly that for too many years. I was always a people pleaser. I didn't do what I wanted. I did what people expected of me. And it was a very painful and long journey to become authentic. And what I have the most pride in right now is I really don't give a damn. I do what I believe in. And I talk about real stuff when I'm on these talks, because people want to hear real stuff. People don't want to hear, all the goody. Like I said, the social media perfectionism that people posture. Nobody's lives are perfect. Everybody has a lot of crap going on in their life. So let's learn to be authentic, because, when you're authentic, you give power to others and you help them feel better about their lives. When you pretend to be perfect, then others feel crap and inadequate. So let's be authentic, and let's start using our voice to speak about uncomfortable things.
Thank you, Namita. Guys, I'm sorry. I know there are a lot of questions out of time. Just write all your questions on the chat. I promise I am going to get Namita to answer them in text for you. Otherwise, I'll keep WhatsApping her like crazy if she doesn't.
No, I will answer all the questions. Tanya is a genius on my team. Please have it sent to her.
And Tanya is also there.
Time where she can quickly type it up and send it to you. So
correct.
Time has never been enough, but it was a pleasure. And for God's sake, mental health is a serious issue. Don't try to please the world. Do what pleases you. Go get help. And just enjoy life and live with positivity and gratitude. We sometimes forget to think about our what we're grateful for. We all have some blessings. Let's start focusing on those blessings as well. Go give your mom a big hug for the thankless job she's done for you all these years.
Exactly.
Go do something like that today.
Kanika,
hello.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kanika. Can I log off?
Yes, Namita, thank you. I'll be seeing you again in Pune very soon. I want to hug you very tight, but thank you for everything that you did today.
I know there are a lot of men on this chat, but I'm a girl's girl, and nothing relaxes me more than a hug from my, the sisterhood. I have girls I chat with, open my heart out to, cry my eyes out to. I have girls who I sit and talk, and nothing makes me happier than being with my girls over a cup of tea. And, this sisterhood and this bonding is very important. So I would love to meet you and give you that hug, Kanika.
Soon again, and I'm going to direct everyone to your episodes as well. If they haven't seen it, now is the time to see it and look through, everything that you have done in all those areas as well. Thanks, Namita.
Love that.
All the best to the stuff that's coming your way, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye.